Hi there YouTube, welcome to part 2 of my Italian Grand Army update, and in this particular video we will just go through the second platoon. It's a lot smaller than my first, so hopefully it won't take too long, and also I'll try and run through the sort of the infantry quite quickly, and hopefully it won't be too long a video. So let's immediately start with the command team. This, like I say, is my second platoon. It's kind of based around Bergeslieri. It's not surprising that the command figure is actually a Bergeslieri lieutenant. And we can see that if we look at the bottom of his base here, he has the rank of Primo Teniente. And yeah, quite a nice figure. Again, I've kind of done him to have a sort of privately tailored Sahariana jacket. And again, he's got the rank tab on his forearm and on his shoulder tabs. So that is the lieutenant of my second platoon, or senior lieutenant, I think the actual proper rank is, or I suppose is equivalent to a first lieutenant. Here we have one of his assistants. This guy has the rank of a Marciello Primo, which is Staff Sergeant, and again you can see the Bergeslieri red tab with a star on, and of course their famous cockerel feathers. And if you didn't know, the Bergeslieri were the Italian elite light infantry, and they were famous for this black cockerel feather attachment to their headgear, which is something that they still wear today. So this guy is I believe he's a sergeant, yeah, Marciello Ordinario, and he is one of the two assistants that this particular lieutenant gets. So a good base command section for this particular platoon. Next up we will go for the Bergeslieri squad, which is a 12-man squad, and is slightly different in the fact that it has two Breeder 30 machine gun teams, which is a fair amount of extra firepower really when it comes to sort of infantry teams. So let's start with the NCO. So this is actually one of my favourite Italian figures out of my entire army. I only have one of him, and I think this is one of only two different types of sort of main NCO figure within the Italian pool of miniatures. And you can see the head sculpt that I chose for him has got the sun goggles down, and again I only had one of these heads, so this guy is completely unique to my army, there only being one of him and him having that particular head as well. And you can see that he's a really nicely posed figure, and he's got the Beretta submachine gun there. And if you have a look on the bottom of his base there, Marciello Ordinario, so sergeant. Okay, so next up, let's go for the LMG teams. So we have I believe this is the second LMG team. If we look at the bottom of his base here, we have number 1 of Team 2, and he has the rank of a Soldato. And his loader, with the moustached head there, the sand coloured ammo box, and if we have a look at the bottom of his base, Team 2, number 2, and he has the rank of a Soldato. And for the second team we have the alternate posed LMG gunner, with him carrying it on his shoulder. We can see this guy has European webbing. Quite a nice figure. and the rank of Soldato, and there we have the designation Team 1, number 1. Okay, and the loader for him. You can see this is a pullover versioned trooper, carrying the ammo box, properly coloured. All standard desert kit, apart from, yeah, it's all standard desert kit actually in this guy. And if we have a look at the bottom of his stand, we can see that here's a Soldato Team 1 number 2. A little designation to keep those guys together. So going into infantry now, we have a standard rifle firing infantryman and rank of Soldato. And we'll try and do these 2 at a time now. So we have another 2 infantrymen here. Pretty similar positioned, but slightly different. And if we look at their arms, with no insignia, these guys are obviously Soldatos. Yeah. So there's those 2 guys, and here we have the Corporal and a Soldato Celto. This guy, you may recognise this position as one of the NCOs of my 2nd unit. The Burgess the Airy head sculpt, which does look pretty similar to the un-Burgess the Airy head sculpt, but I did actually put them together, and they're actually slightly different. If I just grab the Corporal from my normal infantry section, we can see that the heads are pretty similar. But they are actually a little bit different. So that's cool. It's cool to know that they actually sculpted unique heads for the Burgess the Airy over the regular Italians. So good on Warlord for doing that. And this guy has the rank of a Sergente, which is a corporal. And next up, a Soldato Celto. And if we look at his bottom of his base here, Soldato Celto. And this guy's got quite a complicated name, Giamonatio. Probably pronounced that wrong. Thanks, Italian random name generator. And we have 2 more, and then we go on to the 2nd section. So we have this guy, and he has the markings of a Soldato Celto. So that's him. And then finally, another grenade throwing guy with the rank of Soldato, and this guy does have European webbing by the looks of it. And yeah, De Planto. Okay, that's the Burgess the Airy squad. Let's just move those guys out of the way. Going into the 2nd Infantry squad now. These guys are regular Bologna Brigade. However, these guys are veterans, and they have been attached to the 2nd Platoon. So here we have the NCO figure. These guys, obviously, I did a more detailed video on these guys in my last army update, number 5, I believe. And we can see that this guy is a Marciello Ordinario. And the corporal for this particular unit, who does have European webbing and trousers and European puttees. And this guy has the rank of a Sergente. Okay, and Let's go for the LMG team next, the Breeder 30 team. This position again, and this time a moustached head and a Soldato Celto rank. Goronzio Manfredo, there you go. And his loader. Rank of Soldato. And next up we have a couple of guys wearing Bastinas, or soft caps. I like these guys' head sculpts. This guy here with a slight grimace, I actually used the colour off-white to use for his teeth, and I think it's quite a cool colour. It's kind of, it gives that sort of brightness of teeth, but at the same time it's not too stark, so it kind of it looks really good colour to use as teeth. And of course I just with a little bit of sort of shading of Agrax Earthshade over it, just to sort of tone it down a little bit more. Makes a great sort of tooth colour. And we can see this guy is a Soldato Celto, and his colleague, who I believe is just a straight up Soldato. Yeah, Sotinho. There you go. And next up, another Bastina wearing infantryman, Soldato Celto. Really like this guy's head. I think it's really characterful. Entrenching tool and bayonet, and Soldato Celto. And just 3 more infantry to go. Hope you're not getting too uninterested. So you can see obviously the Bologna Brigade markings there, and let's drop him. Rank of Soldato, and final 2 to go. Another Bastina wearing infantryman. So this last unit of infantrymen has actually got more Bastinas than helmets, and I kind of decided to do that just to be able to use the great sort of pool of head sculpts these guys do have, and this guy of course Soldato, and the final guy wearing European gaiters and trousers and webbing. Another Soldato Celto, and there's his rank and his name. Okay, that is the infantry sections taken care of. Next up we'll go to the much smaller than my first platoon support section. We'll start with the Brixia light mortar. This again is a Bergeslieri unit, so it's veteran. And it's a nice little model, all in one piece, which is great. And we can see he's a Soldato Celto, and he does have a name, although the oldest style surname only, which I am going to remedy. It wasn't until I'd finished my Bergeslieri that I actually started putting full names on, as soon as I found that sort of a random name generator program that I used. The loader put onto a circle base because of flexibility of position. Wearing European webbing. It's got his box of ammo there. And rank of Soldato. And then finally, 2 more things to go. Next up, the machine gun team. Part of the reasons why I decided to have a second platoon was because of this machine gun team. It actually came with a Bergeslieri box set. You can see that these guys are behind a sort of slate stone wall, which came out really cool. The weapon, the Breeder 37 HMG, Warlord, of course, count this as a medium machine gun, even though in reality any medium machine gun put onto a tripod basically becomes a heavy machine gun, really, because the definition of a heavy machine gun is sustained fire, and a tripod allows you to do that. But obviously for rules purposes, I believe a heavy machine gun has a bigger team as far as sort of bolt action rules go. So yeah, nice. Like I said before in my previous videos, it's worth. There's a couple of good videos on YouTube of a guy with a real one of these, and they're quite an interesting. It's quite an interesting video. Because this and the light machine gun version of Breeder 30 are both quite interesting and unique weapons. It's definitely worth checking those videos out. Just do a search for Italian weapons of World War II and you'll find them. And there's also quite a few good videos about the Carcano rifle as well. So that's before we leave the MMG team. Let's just zap down to the bottom here. So we see these guys do have names and ranks. The Sergente and 2 Soldatos. Now finally, the tank support for this unit. We have the Semovente 7518. It's still classed as a medium tank. The chassis is the same as the M3940. It has a fixed turret. It's pretty close to a Stug. It has the ability to fire high explosive and armor piercing, and it's probably the only Italian tank that can kind of easily take on the heavier Allied tanks of the late Desert War, like Shermans and such like. It's basically probably the most effective Italian tank that you can easily get your hands on. That's been made by a company. I did add the aerial here myself, made out of a malted sprue, which is one of my favourite aerial creating techniques. I did actually have to drill a little hole for it. Now this particular style of tank I modelled on a photo from one of my reference books, and I am actually going to do a little video on the reference books that I use for my Italian army, but I'll just quickly show you this picture to show you a reference. This is the actual book. It's Italian Medium Tanks 39 to 45. I believe it's Osprey. It is. There's the authors, and yeah, Italian Medium Tanks. And if we just go towards the back, there is a digital type illustration. Here it is. And this is basically what I modelled this tank on. And you can see it came out pretty close to the picture. Pretty happy with that. Yeah. Okay, that is the end of this second platoon and my Grand Army update. Thank you for watching, and like I said, I may well do an extra little video after this, just running through the books that I used for not only reference but also to sort of read up on Italian forces and kind of get familiar with them, because before I started this army I didn't really have much respect for the Italian army, and you know, your basic sort of the Germans, the Americans, the English, and that's more or less it really, and the Soviets, all the big names, and not really delving into the sort of the minor nations. And like I say, I really enjoyed collecting this army. I definitely recommend collecting yourself an Italian army. I really enjoyed collecting them. I really enjoyed painting them, and I'm very, very proud of the way they turned out. I hope you enjoyed this video. like I say, I tried to make the Grand Army updates a little bit different from my sort of standard videos where I kind of go into a little bit more detail, but they do obviously end up being a lot longer because there's a lot more stuff to cover. But like I say, you know, I've completed this army now. That's not to say I'll never add anything else to it. I probably will. Like all bolt action armies, they're never really finished, and you always kind of want to add extra things to them eventually. But for now, this army's finished. Get ready for my next army. You know, I've kind of got armies lined up to do. I may well start doing British next, although whether I'll actually cover them in video, I don't really know. And then at some point after that, I plan to start an early war French army. So keep tuned for those, and I may well do a few videos on some of the other armies that I'm kind of collecting in the background, particularly Germans and Americans. And I'll just give you a quick little, if I pan this up and across, you can see a couple of my newer additions to my Germans and my Americans over there, which I may well do a video on my Shermans and the two Panthers over there. So, like I say, like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you haven't already. It's a good way of keeping in touch when I release new videos. You'll automatically get a little update in your feed, or perhaps even an email. I'm not 100% sure. But it's a good way of catching new videos as they come out. And like I say, I may well do a little video on my reference books, because Italians, they're kind of a weird little niche in the fact that there's not as much stuff around about them as easily available as like the major nations. And like I say, the little pool of books that I did have came in very, very handy. And if you look around, you can get them quite cheap as well. So, until next time, I hope you enjoyed this Grand Army update, even though it ended up being 2 videos. Let's just pan out a little bit, and I'll catch you later.